Hello there. Today I'm going to be showing you how to turn a plain 3D printed dungeon tile into something that looks a little bit more interesting. So before we do that, roll those credits. Right, now with scenery, there's a lot of different ways to do scenery. So some people build it from scratch, styrofoam, polystyrene. Some people use clay. Some people 3D print. Now, the whole idea with scenery is it's supposed to immerse you in whatever world or what tabletop game you're playing. So you can flat paint something. You know, you could just prime it like this has been primed, and it's usable. But to really sort of immerse players into a game, you need to make it look more lifelike. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to paint this, and then we're going to start adding some little bits and pieces to it you can do to make it come alive. Because obviously the more realistic it looks, the better it is. So let's get on with painting this. Right, now what I did was put a wash over the none oil wash over the floor, and then with the walls, just before the paint was dry, went over it with a none oil wash. What that does is, because the paint's not quite dry, it sort of blends it and smooths it out, and creates some more uniform sort of colour, if you know what I mean. It just blends it all in. So what we're going to do next, I'm just going to do a very light grey dry brush over all of it. What that's going to do is that's going to pick out all the raised parts of the brickwork and the floor, and it's just going to give the whole thing extra depth. Right, now you want to run your brush out, make sure there's hardly any paint at all on it, and lightly flick over all the surfaces. And what you want to do is, you don't want to follow the lines, you want to go across all the grain. Because as the brush comes across the grain, you want it just to flick the top of all of them. So make sure when you're doing dry brushing, you're running in the correct direction. If your brush finishes, like completely runs out, what I tend to do is just, where I've run off the brush on my plate, the bit I've run off of, that's what I pick up on, because there's hardly any paint now, and just go over everything. Until you've got a nice sort of even, uniformed colour. There you go. It picks out the brickwork much, much better now. Right. Now that's done, we'll move on to the next part, the door. Right, now with the door, we are going to start with just a flat coat of brown. This is flat earth. Now, just do a flat base coat. Now I'm only going to do one side of this door because I'm only doing one side of the whole dungeon. I'm not doing the back because this isn't going to be used for anything. It's literally just to do this video on. So now it looks really light at the moment, but we're going to take care of that. We're going to age this so it looks like old wood. Right, so base coat dried. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to give it a wash with smoke. So we're going to let that dry now. You can see it's already started darkening it up. We're going to let that dry, and then we go on to step 3. Right, now that first wash has dried, so that's a wash of smoke. There you go. What we're going to do now is we're going to use the same smoke, but we're going to do a 50-50 wash with black as well. So 50% smoke, 50% black. dry this off because I only did a light wash. Right, now what we're going to do next is we're going to add some highlights to the wood. What we're going to do is we're going to do a mix of colours. So we're going to do dark sand and 10% of Japanese, what is this, Japanese Unif. Get a nice thin brush for this. And what we're going to do is just put in some wood grains. Some models will already have the wood grain printed, depending on what file we use. This was just something I quickly grabbed off of Thingiverse, and it's not really got a lot of detail in it. And then what we're going to do is do another wash with the smoke again. What that's going to do is just dull down the grain you've put on now. So let's let that dry. Speed it up a bit. What we're going to do then is we're going to take a dark brown, so something like charred brown. What we're going to do is just lightly put a dry brush over the details, just to bring out the edges on that. Right, so there you're starting to get an old oak wooden door. Then we're going to take a steel. This is Dark Star. Really great metallic paints. If you've never used them before, seen them, Dark Star. They do a set of just metallics, which is basically golds, silvers, and metals. But they are great paints. Right, and what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight all the rivets on the door. The handle. There you go. An old oak wooden door. Right, so our door is now ready to go into place. So that can be stuck in. But before that, so as it stands, that looks fine. But with all tabletop games, the scenery is meant to be telling a story. So I'm going to show you a couple of different bits you can do depending on what you want the scene to look like. So start off with moss. Add in moss. Now you can paint it, but the whole point with moss is it's supposed to look very organic. So I'll show you what I do. Now you can buy terrain. So this is like flock. It's supposed to be like a grass or a moss. If you've seen my video I did recently on tree beard, I'll put a link to it in the video here. The tree beard model from Gambody was fantastic model. But when it comes to painting, there's only so far you can make an old tree look like an old tree with paint. So if you watch the video, I used a lot of mosses and stuff like that to make it look organic and aged and natural. So you can try this. Now, this is how I found the best way to put it on. It may not be correct. Someone may have a better idea or better way of doing this, but this is what I came to with trying it, and it seemed to work fine for me. So, PVA glue. This just happens to be a Games Workshop one because I got it with some paints I bought. Now, where you want it, just run the PVA glue. Now, so there is a gap up the inside of these tiles. They don't sort of join together perfectly. So let's add it to them. Then you'll see what this flock's like. It's tiny little pieces. Does unfortunately get everywhere, but you can start adding moss. Now, when you say dungeon, it makes me think, for some reason, blood. So, with blood, thinking of blood splatter, I'm going to use Citadel Blood for the Blood God. Now, the way I use this to do blood splatter is get yourself a nice thick bristled brush. Load it up with paint. Grab your airbrush. And there you go. You've got a blood splatter. Now you can take it a little bit further. So this is coagulated blood from Green Stuff World. Now if we pour some of it where we want it. take a brush, run it into the gaps between the floor tiles, pull it up against the wall, run it out a bit, and there you have a coagulated blood puddle. I love that stuff, it's brilliant. So that's that done. Right, now another cool feature you can add to a dungeon tile or a diorama or any sort of model is cobwebs. Cobwebs can really make something look aged, old. Now for that we use this Green Stuff World's Spider Serum. Comes in 2 bottles. So the first bottle is Spider Serum, second bottle is the cleaner, because you're really going to have to clean up your airbrush after you've used this stuff. You have to clean it up properly, otherwise I should imagine that's that totaled. Now what you do, pour some of the Spider Serum into your airbrush. Be warned, it does tend to go everywhere. What you do is you just keep building it up. Now, as I say, when you're finished, you need to clean it up with the cleaner. Make sure you really get it all out. Right, so let that dry for a while, and then we'll come back to it. Right, so here we go. Now be warned, it does go everywhere. It covers everything in the surrounding area. But you know, you start adding, you can build it up. You can create long webs as well. But yeah, that's how you can add some age to a dungeon tile. Then once you're done now, place a character on now, and there you go, one finished dungeon tile. And I'll argue it looks better than just a plain grey tile. Gives it some character, gives it some age, you know, it makes it feel like you're actually in where you're supposed to be. You know, a lot of tabletop gaming, it's part of bringing the area you're in to life, make it feel real. Obviously that's two separate sort of tiles I've done here. I've done an aged one and obviously one we've covered in blood, but you know, experiment, have a go, play around. There's a lot of different things you can use, a lot of different mediums you can use. Again, a lot of these techniques will work on any sort of, however you create your scenery. Obviously this one's 3D printed, but yeah, give it a go. Tag us in any pictures you do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Still got some more videos coming out as often as we can do them. We've got a leatherwork video I'm doing soon. Show you how to paint leather sort of armour, stuff like that. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.